Hello, everybody. Just waiting to see. Let me know if you can all hear me. Somebody can just text that you're hearing me, then we can go ahead and get started here. Good. All right. So welcome to our weekly webinar, which is we're doing here every Monday at noon. Today is the 13th of April. And hi, Mary. How are you? We've been focusing on our retirement and the outlook of our retirement with everything going on with COVID and everything else. And this week, we're going to kind of run through some things. I promise to keep this week's a little bit shorter and such. Here is a quick disclaimer. My attorneys have told us that we need to remind everybody that I'm not an attorney. I'm not a CPA, but we are certified financial planners and have helped literally thousands of families around Minneapolis, the upper Midwest here, with their retirement planning. We specialize with families in and nearing retirement, and we have a very comprehensive approach to how we do that. We recognize that wealth management, the investment strategies that you are employing, while very important to really have a solid foothold on our retirement planning, we want to make sure that we're bringing in tax planning, income planning, and making sure that our investment risks coincides with what we're looking for. I often tell families, our primary goal, families hire us because, number one, they're looking to make sure that they always have the income they're going to need in retirement. Nobody wants to live in a lower economic status or not be able to live in the same lifestyle that they become accustomed to prior to retirement. And we want to make sure that we can spend in confidence. Money that we're spending in our 60s and 50s, 60s, and 70s isn't money we're going to wish we had back later on. Number two, if I can help you reduce your taxes morally, ethically, legally, we do everything we can on that. We make sure that we are helping families create tax planning strategies that are look forward so that we can help reduce taxes. We'll talk about that here in a little bit on the PowerPoint here or the webinar. And then finally, if we can help you grow your wealth, that's what we try to do, but we are never going to try to do that sacrificing the income planning or the tax planning we do and such. So while the investment, the wealth management is very important, we recognize here at Secured Retirement, Financial Secure Retirement Radio, that families hire us because they want to be able to retire securely. So with that said, here's my family on Easter Sunday. I know that things have really gotten kind of different here in the last few weeks. This Easter, we ended up spending our time Zooming. You can see me and my family up on the top left there. My sister out of River Falls is her older kids and such are all there on the right. My folks on the bottom left, and then I have my other brother and his family there. And this is how we spent Easter. I know that this is a little bit different for a lot of us than what we're used to. I believe that this is all going to end sooner than later, hopefully, and we can spend next Easter a little bit different. With that said, Easter is always that time of the year that we start getting into Easter, Passover, it's kind of a time for new beginnings. It's time for regrowth, resurrection, and what have you. But it's about things getting better. And I think that a lot of what we've all been through here recently are going through today. Hopefully, we are going to now start to see things getting a little bit better. Heck, Easter snowstorms. I mean, who would have thought? But I'm optimistic on where we're heading in the future, and hopefully you are as well. This map is something I think most of us have gotten used to. It's a map that shows kind of the coronavirus and the spread. A couple numbers, we went up about 200,000, which is only a 50% increase. Now that sounds like a lot, but the total confirmed cases in the U.S. Was up threefold 2 Mondays ago to last Monday. So now we are growing at 50%. I've got a slide I think that's pretty optimistic here, or kind of good news that I'll be sharing with that. Locally in Minnesota here, also up about 50%, so we're kind of tracking the national average. We are 1,427 confirmed case. Good news, the vast majority of the families that have already had COVID here in Minnesota have already recovered. The Dow is actually up again too. So we were at 22,229 a week ago Monday. We are now at 23,370 thereabouts, depending on where the market's at, even with the down day here. So last week, markets started seeing a lot of good things going on, that the markets are up a little bit. A couple things that we've seen over the weekend. We saw Russia and OPEC kind of come together. I think we're going to see some stability in gas prices, which is something that the markets have wanted to see. And also we're starting to see Europe is starting to roll out how they're going to get back to life as normal. So hopefully we are not too far behind them, and we'll be doing the same here soon. Here's that slide I was just talking about. Since the first 100 cases in the U.S., it's starting to look as if we're starting to flatten this out. So we know that other countries like Europe and South Korea, Italy, and Spain, while a lot of them have had some pretty tough goes here for the last 60 days, all of us overall are starting to see this thing flatten out, which means that the social distancing and things that we've been going through seem to be working. Again, I hope that I've spent the last of my Easter Sundays doing a Zoom meeting with my family, but it's kind of interesting. Some of the good things are coming out of this. I get to see my family and us spending a little bit more time doing some of these Zoom meetings. It's a neat way to kind of keep in touch with families. Even though my family's not spread out as much as a lot of other families are, it's still something that might be some of the good that comes out of all this. Why stay fully? Where are we at from here? Well, if history remains the same, we are very likely going to see a really good recovery. You go back to 1929 when the markets were down 86%. We saw 162%. That's the top line here I'm reading. In the first year following that, and 5 years later, the markets were up over 340%. 2007, 2009, that's still kind of memory for a lot of us. We were down 56% during that 16-month period of time. Recovered 53 in the first year, and 2 years later, we're up 181%. If we're trying to time the markets right now, if we're trying to sell today and buy at a lower price, we got to be right twice. We, number one, have to be right that the markets are going to go down. Number two, we have to be able to buy back in at a lower price. If you are somebody that's concerned about the volatility, one thing we have been offering, and we will continue to offer throughout the COVID crisis here, is a 15-minute strategy session. Whether you're a client of ours or not, our advisors here want to be a resource for you. Sit down over the phone. Let's have a 15-minute conversation. The goal of these 15-minute strategy sessions is really to identify the single most important action step you could be doing today to make sure that you're in the best position possible as we go through this. So I think that by doing that, we've had some tremendous feedback. A lot of families have had those 15-minute strategy sessions, and some have resulted in somebody saying, what's the next step? They'd like to kind of learn more about what we do here at Secured Retirement Financial. And many others have kind of resulted in really just somebody getting a little bit more peace of mind with everything going on. And that's okay too. We want to be a resource. So even if you're not even thinking that if you're not looking for an advisor right now, don't hesitate to give us a reach out. Give us a call. Let's spend 15 minutes. Let's make sure we can identify that single most important thing that you can be doing right now. And at the end of the presentation, we'll do the same thing as last week. You can even schedule that automatically just by clicking with your computer there. If not, you can always give us a call, 952-460-3260. The rest of the team here continues to work remotely. I come in the office, make sure that we can get our mail, because we do get a lot of important mail that has to be reviewed every day. So I've been kind of making it into the office as an essential business here. Everybody else is working remotely. So if you call that 952-460-3260 number, expect that maybe we have to get back to you in about 10 or 15 minutes. You can also email us, info@securedretirements. Again, more of that coming up in a little bit here. I didn't want to spend too much time on this next section because a lot of us have probably already attended these. If it's your first time reviewing this with you, some of this might be newer information. If it is, schedule that 15-minute strategy session so we can show you how this pertains to you specifically. Number one, taxes that were going to be due later on this week have now been pushed off to July 15th. Not only are taxes the filing date, but also the actual due date that you would actually have to pay any payments. Interesting enough, the second quarter estimated taxes are going to be due on June 15th. The tax filing isn't until July 15th. I think that's something we're going to have to see the IRS figure out how they want to address it. A lot of families are saying, well, Joe, are there only going to be 3 dates? Yes, they are. They're saying that right now you'll have both your first and your second estimated payment if you're making estimated payments in June. And I think we'll probably see that push off. We'll see. No required distributions for 2020. That's good news for a lot of families that have seen their accounts get just absolutely clobbered in what's been going on here. If I'm required to take, let's say, 4% out of my accounts as a required minimum distribution, used to be 70.5, now it's 72, and that 4% is now 6 or 7%. It's the quickest way I know that somebody can end up running out of money in retirement. So the IRS recognizes that. They're going to hold off on any required distributions, not just on your personal accounts. If you've got an inherited IRA, that is, if you're a beneficiary of an IRA, due to an inheritance, that money can be pushed off. A lot of families are saying, Joe, what if I already took my required distribution? Great news. If you took that since February 1st, you can roll that back into an IRA. You won't be taxed, or you can even roll it into a Roth IRA. There's some other things that might happen for somebody that took it earlier in June. We can discuss that with you on a 15-minute call. But if you took an RMD and you don't need to spend it, make sure you set aside some time. Let's specifically talk about what your options are there. And that's actually probably about half of the calls we had last week were specifically about required distributions. So we want to make sure that we address those with you. Again, use this as a resource here at Secure Retirement Financial. We are retirement planning specialists, and this is an area that we've spent a lot of time. Early access to retirement accounts. If you do need access to your money, it's probably the worst place to take it, but let's face it, better to access early a IRA or your 401k than some of the, getting in a financial hole. So ideally that's not your situation, but if you do need to tap into that money, you can borrow up to $100,000. You can repay that over the next 3 years. So they've done some things there. Again, another reason to reach out to us, and let's show you how you can do that if that's your situation, and show you how to do it in the best way possible. The Stimulus Act, many of us are aware we're going to be getting checks in the mail here. Not everybody's going to get those. There are some thresholds based on individual and married filers. The kids are going to get a check. It's going to go to the parents if you have minor children. Those checks, I just saw a news announcement come out. They're going out today as the first rounds. Everybody's, I think, supposed to have them by April 15th. So if you have one of those coming, maybe consider using that, though, to support a business in their community that might be having a tough time right now. Look at the restaurants. A lot of restaurants are doing the curbside service or delivery, or maybe put yourself in a better situation financially if you have to pay down debt or something. Again, I don't know what to do with the stimulus check. Give us a call, and we're fiduciaries here. We're going to make sure we tell you the best thing for you in your situation. Whether that means that you should be investing it or making contributions to an IRA, Roth IRA, something like those, or maybe paying down debt, we're going to make sure that we give you the best advice possible around that. Three areas that I think you can be proactive. You know, with this everything going on, it's easy to be reactive. Reactive, though, is not a position of strength. It's a position of weakness. When we have all this stuff going on to us, with, you know, being locked up in our homes and what have you, not being able to socialize, look for those ways that we can take charge, those things that we can give us strength, being proactive, you know, all the different things that maybe we were focusing on over the last weekend with Easter coming around. Let's bring that into our financial planning and such too. So three areas I think that we can do things: tax planning, asset allocations, and looking at or how you get your advice. Well, let's talk about tax planning. Tax planning is different than tax prep. Tax prep is what a lot of us are doing right now. We got until July 15th now, but it's about looking forward and seeing if there's ways I can put myself in a better situation, maybe not just in 2020, but let's look forward and see if there's ways I can put myself in a better situation in 2021, 2025, 2030, down the road here. A couple things that we're doing a lot with our clients right now. We are being hyper focused on taking tax losses, offsetting some of the gains that we might be receiving or have received in the past. We're harvesting some of those. They can be used in the future. You can even write off a certain amount, $3,000 on your taxes this year. You know, the last thing you want to do is be looking back 2020 in hindsight and saying, boy, I missed opportunities here. 2020 vision is kind of the standard. Let's make sure that our planning around taxes have also got a clear vision. Number two, look at Roth conversions. I cannot tell you how many Roth conversions we've been doing. I can tell you that there is a lot. We really have a lot of clients that are taking advantage of the depressed account values right now. Unsure how that works or whether you can qualify or not to do a Roth contribution. Though hint, everybody can do a Roth contribution, just not everybody can do a Roth conversion. But if you are looking to put yourself in a better situation long-term, give us a call, take advantage of that 15-minute strategy session. Let us show you some things to do, whether or not we help you or you bring it to 1-800 mutual fund company or another advisor that may not be as proactive in these areas as we are. We just want to make sure that you're in good shape. Two, asset allocation. Boy, I'll tell you, there's no better way to find out what your true risk tolerance is, what your emotional risk is, until you see the markets come down 30 or so percent. A lot of us are not sleeping at night. When I was growing up, my cousin Todd and me, we'd wrestle in the basement. He was 5 years older than me, and sooner or later he'd grab my arm, pull it behind my back, and I'd go, "Oh, uncle," right? A lot of us have reached that uncle point with our finances. We are getting statements in the mail. We're going to be getting another round of them in here in a couple weeks. And if you're unable to even look at your statements because you can't emotionally handle it, or maybe you're finding yourself in a situation that you're not sleeping well at night, you're concerned about whether you still can retire, or whether the retirement you took a year or two ago was the right thing, maybe the decade ago, wherever that is. Asset allocation is key. It's more than just the diversification, having large companies, small companies, international companies. True asset allocation is looking at money that's exposed to market risk, money that may not follow the stock market but can still go down in value. Think like real estate that doesn't necessarily follow what the S&P 500 is doing. Money that's protected, money that doesn't go down in value. And those families that know that they've got money they can take accounts to live on right now, without market value adjustments, they are sleeping a heck of a lot better than somebody that knows that they got to be taking money out of their accounts that have just been clobbered. So asset allocation, something we can address on that 15-minute call. There are investments that can protect the downside and still get you a fair amount of upside that's better than cash. Maybe the best thing for you is to actually increase the amount of risk you're taking. Reduce some of the bond exposure. Fixed income is an area that I think we're going to see underperform. Maybe you should be actually increasing the amount of risk that's for wealth accumulation. Again, don't do this, though, if it's going to sacrifice your ability to take income. An area that we help a lot of families is really in this area, helping you get that true asset allocation that's just right, the Goldilocks allocation, right? Not too hot, not too cold, just get it right. Advice. I say this from time to time, and it's easy to kind of forget that how these different levels of service work. But I think of our industry, and in the most part, I'm talking about our financial planning industry, or the insurance that we do. Our industry doesn't always get this stuff right. And a lot of times media has us focusing on something that may not be what we should be focusing on. What I mean by that is there's really three levels of service that advisory firms can offer. There's that effective level, there's the enhanced level, and there's the engaged level. What's the effective level? Well, the effective level is really just the basis. Every financial firm should be able to help you with this. It's execution of buying financial investments, whether I'm buying a mutual fund or an ETF or an annuity or life insurance or whatever that financial product are. There are different levels, and that very basic level is the effective service. Now, I sometimes talk about the 1-800 mutual fund company. What I mean by that is that there's a lot of firms out there that really are just there to help you buy and sell the mutual funds. Think T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, the Fidelity Mutual Fund Company, not necessarily the brokerage firm. We have relationships with them too on the institutional basis. Them and TD Ameritrade. Maybe it's the old Schwab where you just get the execution, but you're on your own. Think of that as the effective. The effective level is really going to be very price focused. It's about just what's the cheapest price I can get things at. Now, as financial advisors, we've very proactive about finding the best price. So that's why every firm that we work with that's a custodian of our clients' affairs, for the most part, transaction costs have been eliminated. We're doing everything at a zero cost there. Now, that doesn't mean the investment tool doesn't have some expenses like a mutual funds or even an ETF. But at the effective level, it's really just helping you get the transaction taken care of. The next level up, though, is where a lot of us have spent our getting our investment advice. We're hiring somebody to help us make recommendations around our portfolios. The buys and the sells. Should I be buying this, Joe? Should I be buying that? They help us put together the portfolios. That's that enhanced level. You're getting more service there. You're probably going to have to pay for that value a little bit, right? Most of the firms that I've seen that are working more at the effective level that are offering financial advice, well, when I see the financial plans, what happens? Surprise, surprise, it's really just a method for them to offer you more of their investment tools that they offer exclusively. The enhanced level really should be more of a fiduciary relationship. It should be more about making sure that they're looking after your best interest and helping you put together the best portfolio possible. Now, we here at Secure Retirement Financial, we operate at more engaged level. What's the engaged level? It goes beyond just the money management. It goes beyond the investment strategies. It's about how do we reduce taxes? How do I show you how to take your money back? How do we put together an income plan? We give a lot of advice here at Secure Retirement Financial outside of just the investments themselves. When's the best time for me to take Social Security? Should I be spending money from my tax deferred accounts, the IRAs first, or should I be taking it from savings, possibly a Roth IRA? It's really about helping families put together a plan. And if you're unfamiliar with how we've done that, I know a lot of our clients are listening to us right now, but if you'd like to know more about that, again, you can schedule that 15-minute visit. In fact, how about if I try to do that right now? You should see an offer on the bottom of your screen where you can click and automatically add it to one of our advisors' accounts. We will find a convenient time based on your schedule and ours, and let's sit down and take that 15-minute visit. Not sure you just want to schedule the call. We're also here just by making a phone call. So we're here for you. We want to do what we can to help you. We want to make sure you have a contingency plan. We want to help you stay proactive. Again, I think we're starting to see ourselves get through this. I think that the signs of spring are there. We've just gotten past, Passover and Easter, which is typically for me a point when we start to see spring really kind of hitting full. And I think that we've started to see spring with this whole coronavirus thing. At least I hope so. I'm going to stay optimistic. With that said, I continue to wash my hands. We've got social distancing here. We went over that earlier. Stay safe. And again, if you have a question, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Even if you think you might be, Joe, I don't want to waste your time. We aren't sure that we'd be a good fit for what you do. Hey, we won't know. Let's take that 15 minutes and try to make sure we identify the single most important action step you can do right now. And then we can worry about when everything gets back to normal here, whether or not we should be working together long term. Fair enough? With that said, we'll come back next Monday, right over the noon hour, and enjoy the rest of your day.